First, I just want to welcome you all to this effective presentation class. Marcia and I were thrilled about joining you and being part of it. We so appreciate all you guys do within the network and know how busy you all are. So thanks for being here. If I didn't introduce myself yet, my name is Kelli Cicerelli, and I work at the Community Loan Fund in New Hampshire. I work with the ROC-NH program, and if you can believe it, we have 132 co-ops here in New Hampshire. So we're busy, but this is my favorite thing to do, is to work with folks on training. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm gonna pass it over to Marcia to go next, and then I would love to just go around, and if you could, I'd probably, to keep it easier, I'm just gonna call on you, and if you could just let us know your name and your co-op and where you're located, that would be great. Marcia?
Yeah, so I'm Marcia Sprague, and I used to work with Kelli. I was so fortunate to work with Kelli in New Hampshire for 5 years or so. And now I'm in Colorado, and we have 3 co-ops in Colorado. So we are fairly new. So I am so glad to be doing this training with Kelli. We haven't worked together in a while, so this has been a lot of fun. And I look forward to working with all of you guys.
We're gonna try not to cut it up while we're together.
Yeah.
Lori, how about you?
I'm Lori Cahill, and I'm from Kalispell, Montana, in Green Acres Cooperative.
Great, thank you. Carol?
I'm Carol Hodgkins. I'm from Wardtown Co-op, and we are in Freeport, Maine.
Awesome. Nancy, with a great new haircut.
Nancy Morrison. I'm from Conifer Green Cooperative in Kingston, Massachusetts.
And Susanna?
I'm Susanna Mishu. I'm from North Attleboro, Mass, Rustic Pines Community.
Great. Tina?
I'm Tina McKinstry. I'm from Meade, Washington, and I am part of Chicasa Village.
Great. Glad you're here. How about Hillary?
Hi, I'm a friend, ally, consultant, and Mary is, I'm standing in partially for Mary. I think there are 2 Marys here tonight. I'm in Boston. And if you're not speaking, we might as well go on mute just to cut down on the background noise.
Great. And Bobby?
I'm Bobby Grubb from Pamela Creek Estates in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Thank you. Kim?
Yes, Kim Capon from Medville Cooperative in Goffstown, New Hampshire.
Welcome, Kim.
Welcome, everybody.
And Mary O'Hara, otherwise known as Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate Eads-Galdieri. I work with ROC-USA, and I'm helping out in these calls just to make sure everything works right technically and see if anybody needs any help.
Thank you,
Kate.
And I'll have my video off for most of it just so I'm not distracting.
We're glad you're here.
Yes, we are. We're glad all of you guys are here. We do have a packed agenda, so we're gonna get into it right away. Can you guys see my screen okay? You guys able to see what some of our goals?
It, but I can't read it.
Okay, all right. Well, you know, what we have here is we have goals on the screen, and essentially what we're hoping to do while we're here tonight is we're going to be talking about strategies for becoming a better presenter. And we're also going to be working with Marcia a little bit on, she's got some great tips for calming those nerves, which we know is a tough job sometimes. We're also going to be doing some skill building around building presentations. I know some of you have gotten some of those handouts already. You might have already taken a look at those, but we're going to be looking those over. And then we're going to be engaging in a little bit of practice. So we're going to be applying some of those presentation basics to some work, getting together in some breakout rooms. What do you guys think of this? Does this look like adequate goals that is this what you were thinking about for the class? Seeing some,
Kelly, can you is there any chance you could copy the goals into the chat? Because it's impossible, you can't see them. That might help.
yeah. You know what? I can, let's see.
You know what, Kelly, maybe you could do it while I'm doing my section.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't I do that?
The other thing folks could do, if you're on a computer, if you go to speaker view instead of gallery view, when Kelly is speaking, you'll see her much bigger picture.
That's a great point, Kim. In your upper right-hand corner, it should say speaker view. And if you go to the other view, then it's probably going to make that that larger. And that's good if you're doing that, because we also just have just an agenda to go through. And to just let you know where we're headed, because those goals, we've got some steps to get there. So here we are in the middle of the intro. Marcia's going to do a little activity with folks to find out where they're at with comfort level. And then we're going to talk about path. What's the pathway to get to doing some better presentations and some of the pitfalls to avoid. And then we're going to be talking about your power and what you have within yourself to be a little bit less nervous. And we're of course going to be looking at that building flow in our presentation, and how to do that in kind of a methodic way, so that I know how many great ideas you all have, and there's so many opportunities for you to get out there and to share it with others. And sometimes it's not a matter of coming up with the ideas, but really putting it together in a meaningful way so that you're feeling confident about delivering it, and you're feeling like your thoughts are organized. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on that. And then we're going to wrap up and talk about some next steps, which we're also kind of excited about. So that's our plan. Does it sound okay to folks? Sounds okay. All right. So typically we would talk about we normally, when we're doing trainings, we do ground rules, but Mary had shared with us norms that you guys already use pretty often, and so we've got we adopted your norms for our training tonight, and we figured that they're probably going to be pretty familiar to you. We want you to be yourself and to speak truth. We want to have one mic, one person talking at a time, and we want you to use your mute key. So if there's background noise going on, especially, that'll keep some of that noise down. And then we want to end and start on time. We're going to try to keep things moving and keep everybody awake while we're going along. And of course, we don't want you to hesitate to ask a question or to make a comment. It was our understanding you guys have done quite a few of these meetings, and you're pretty familiar with the Ring Central format. You know that chat button is at the bottom of your screen, and if something comes up and you want to chat or you have a question, we're going to try to address things as we go. And of course, if it's not something that we can address, or it's not really part of what we're doing, we're going to bike rack it and make sure we definitely come back to it. So, sound like a plan? Great. I'm seeing heads nod. Oh, and before I move on, I know that everybody has the ability to raise your hand in the chat function, to actually put the little hand up there. With a group this small, with you all on the same screen, it's also okay if you put up your hand, because we can see that, and I'm old school, so putting up your hand is just fine. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Marcia.
Okay, so what we're going to do is take a poll, but I want everyone to unmute right now. And so I have a question. How do you feel about giving presentations? So you might say, oh yeah, ooh, or you might say, ugh. So I want a verbal response. So those who don't mind giving presentations, give me the oh.
Oh.
Those who do not like giving giving presentations go, oh, okay. It sounds like it's maybe 50-50. I couldn't really tell. Some of the ahs kind of sounded like oohs. All right, so I am going to put a poll up on your screen. And I think there's, what, 7 questions. And so what we want you to do is to answer the questions. And then when we're done, we'll get all the results on the screen and we can look at what the results are.
We won't see your results.
Can you see the poll?
It's up.
Yes.
It's up? Okay. So if you would read the question and then answer 1 through 5, I can tell when everyone will be done, and then we'll look at the results. It's really fun to take the poll. So half of you have filled them out so far. We're still waiting for the other half.
Who's got the dog?
So we have 7 out of 10 people finished, or 70%. Are people still working on it? You can nod your head if you're still working on it.
Yeah, wave your hand if you're still working on it.
Huh, okay. All right, so let's take a look at the results here. So I feel comfortable giving a presentation to a group of people. So 1 is disagree, 5 is disagree. So most people are sort of in the middle and toward feeling okay, feeling comfortable. I have a good understanding of what makes an effective presentation. Well, this is very interesting. 1 is agree, 5 is disagree. So it sounds like you guys are in the right place tonight. So we will be going over that so you can maybe move up to a 1. Number 3, I know strategies to help be at ease and calm my nerves while giving a presentation. 1 is agree, 5 is disagree. So that's great, because we're going to be talking about that tonight, because it looks like we're mostly in the people don't feel at ease section. 4, I have the skills necessary to build a presentation. And again, people are disagreeing with that. So this is so great. I'm glad to see that, because we might be able to move the scale at the end. I know how to engage a group during my presentation. Again, people are disagreeing or neutral. And I use effective planning tools to organize my notes and thoughts. And again, so some people are comfortable and some people aren't. Oh, can you see that? Oh, okay, here are the results. Sorry, I thought you could see it. So these are the graphs.
Yeah, so
yeah,
great.
So anyway, so what this means is that you guys are in the right place at the right time, and hopefully we want to do a poll at the end of the 2nd class, and we'll see how those marks change for you. So that will be our goal. So back to
Great.
you, Kelly. Yeah.
Thanks, Marcia.
Yep.
All right, so I am going to, I'm just going to be looking for a show of hands here. Who has seen a great presentation? Anybody here seen a great presentation? Okay. And some of the ones I'm thinking about, some of them I've seen at RLI. I've seen some great presentations by folks at RLI. I know some of you saw Paul Bradley probably doing his opening for RLI. And what made some of those presentations great? So the great presentation that you saw, what made it great? Nancy.
The speaker didn't drone.
Yeah, that's great.
What is it? Inflection in this? Yes.
Sure. What else? Marjorie, what made it great? Oh, I'm sorry, you need to just unmute.
I'm thinking back to CLI and can't think of the guy's name, but he usually started us off every Friday morning.
Yeah.
A real vibrant energy speaker, got out into the crowd and got people up. I think you probably know who I'm talking about.
I completely know who you're talking about, but it's escaping my brain
Sounds
right
like
now.
Gary
Is it
Faucher.
Tony something or
Oh.
I don't know. But
So lots of energy. Yeah.
yes.
And anybody, and one other person, what made the presentation great that you saw, Tina?
Their humor. There was humor mixed in.
Humor. Yeah. Great point. Great point. All right. So I'd like to just take a second now and just think about this for a second. Anybody here seen a disastrous presentation? Anybody? Couple people? Okay. So look, before we talk about it, I'd like everybody to change to or to click on your chat button, if you will, and I'd like you to share by chat in just a few words, what specifically the disastrous presentation you saw. What was it? What was it that stood out for you?
And if you make sure you do it to everyone.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Everybody in your chat, everybody knows to, over in your chat, go to the very bottom and there's a spot to type there. So, talked slow, boring, presenter was not prepared. Okay, some people not only have seen that, but some people have been in that situation. You've been asked to speak about something and you've had to get up and you're not feeling prepared. That's never comfortable. Speaker drone, boring, presentation felt disorganized, talk too slow, spend too much time referring to notes and pausing. Yeah, that's tough, right? You have a bunch of information to present, and sometimes if you're not feeling that you have it down, you're referring a lot. Technology fail. Oh boy, I can tell you firsthand, just in doing training, we've had some major technology fails. But I think you're referring to probably PowerPoints. Didn't engage the audience. Goes on and on about nothing. Wasn't easy to hear. So these are perfect examples. And again, we don't want to dwell on a lot of what makes presentations bad, or that we use the term disaster. But there's also a list here that we've created as well. And it's really, it's all the stuff that you've been talking about. There's no presentation goal. There's no real outcome. Or talking too fast or too slow. There could be poor delivery technique, right? Especially when people are just trying to get information out. And if there's no if there's no organization to that, that can be tough. No flow to the presentation, kind of scattered ideas, a lack of enthusiasm, lack of facial expression, or lack of movement with folks, boring vocals. Somebody mentioned, Nancy had mentioned boring, and I don't think sometimes that's as much the content as it is sometimes people get up and they're just talking about something and it's coming out dry. No eye contact, so reading from a page. If somebody is presenting information and they stand in front and they have their head down, it's hard to hear them, and you don't feel as connected. In addition to this, Marcia actually brought this up, and I think it's such a good point about, in this day and age, we're also dealing with Zoom issues, right? So if you're having to give a presentation and you're doing it by Zoom, there's a whole nother little list of things that can happen. And so some of those pitfalls might be not being centered on the screen. I can tell you all do this regularly because I saw some of you tilting your screen and getting ready. Looking straight ahead and not looking down when you're on Zoom. And being aware of your background. People are working from home, so it's difficult to not have stuff around, but if you're against a white background, you probably don't want to wear an all-white shirt or you'll look like a floating head. So being conscientious of that. With that, why is it important for us to all just have some conversation about some of these pitfalls? Why is that important for us to be aware of this list? Anybody? Suzanne.
Well, it would mean that you're not going to be the only one that makes a mistake.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we're not going to dwell on these imperfections, but knowing it is power, right? Knowing that these pitfalls exist, knowing that sometimes it's just tilting your camera or keeping your head up or slowing down when you're talking. Some of those simple fixes can really change a presentation. So with that, speaking of having the power to change, I'm going to turn it over to Marcia.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. All right, so I have a question for everybody. What do you think of this statement? Even experienced presenters still have nervousness when they're presenting. Who agrees with that? I can't see everybody. Okay, I'm going to put you on full screen. All right, because you are absolutely right. Even after many presentations, I still get little nerves. And you know what? It's okay as long as you can control those nerves, because that just makes you turn that nervous energy into excitement energy. So I have I'm going to talk about 5 things to think about. Whoops, sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. In and out, in and out. And the first one, as far as getting used to and feeling comfortable with presenting, is about planning and practicing your talk. Now, this one, I believe, is the most important point out of these 5 points. So what are the benefits to practicing your speech? Anybody? I can't see you, so right now, all of you. So Kelly, if people raise their hand, could you
Lori has her hand up.
Okay.
Oh, but we got to unmute you.
So what are the benefits to practicing, Lori?
So you feel comfortable and more confident about what you're presenting?
Exactly. Anybody else?
Nancy.
Timing.
Yes, definitely. So when you practice, you become more confident and you can work on the timing. You can work on those special words that you want to use. You can hear the flow of your speech. Anybody else? Okay, so in practicing, there's a couple of tips I have about practicing. Now, first of all, are you just going to practice once? No. Are you going to practice twice, 3 times? I practice 20 times, 25 times, 30 times. I go over my presentation. And the reason I do this is because if I go over my presentation or my speech 30 times, 40 times before I speak, then it's just another speech. I'm just doing it again, one more time. So I would recommend that you do it, practice often. And the other tip is, you know how, like, if you're practicing a presentation and you can't remember something, or there's a word or a phrase you really want and you forget it, you stop. Once you have your presentation pulled together and you're practicing, go from beginning to end without stopping. Because if you can practice moving through a glitch, that'll help you during the presentation if you forget something. So then you're also practicing moving through a glitch or a problem or something that you forget. So the second suggestion is relax. Does anybody have a relaxation technique that you use already? And Kelly, if you could call on people.
Well, I'm going to answer because
Okay.
one of the things that I do, and I do this sometimes before training or whenever I have to get up, I take a really deep breath in and I just hold it for a couple seconds and slowly let it out. And it has a very calming effect and helps me kind of just focus my energy, especially in the beginning.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, breathing is a huge one. Did anybody do the homework and watch Amy Cuddy's power stance? So Amy Cuddy talked about, about using your body and feeling like you're in your power. And so go back to that video and take a look at it this week, in the next couple of weeks, and practice the power stance. Because when you practice your power stance, you really feel empowered. You can also stretch your facial muscles. Stretch this. Some people will clench their fists or clench their toes and then relax. So clench and release, clench and release. A little bit easier to do in the winters when people don't see you clenching your toes. I have a friend who does EFT, and it's tapping different pressure points, and that helps reset yourself. So these are some ideas. The other thing, which isn't really maybe about relaxing, it's in that first one about practicing. What I do is I memorize my first line, the first thing I have to say when I'm giving a talk, because once I can get over that line, then the rest comes, then I remember it. But it's that first line I want to make sure I have an impact. So I always memorize the very first thing I'm going to say. All right, the third thing to help reduce our anxiousness is visualizing success. Has anyone ever done this? Okay, so I want everyone to close your eyes. So picture yourself standing confidently. You're looking at your audience. You're delivering your presentation. Your voice is clear, it's loud, it's self-assured. You're looking at people in the audience. People are smiling, they're nodding their heads, they're attentive. At the end, they applaud. Your presentation is a success. Okay, now open your eyes. So how do you think this type of visualization could help your presentation?
Kim.
It helps with your confidence.
Have you done it before, Kim?
Not in a presentation. I do it in other things.
And other things, And so it boosted your confidence in what way?
If you can see success, you have a better chance of emulating it.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's kind of like practicing 20 or 30 times. You know, you've done it. And so getting up and doing it is one more time. So when you visualize your success and you've done it 10 times or 15 times before your presentation, then you're just being successful one more time. And that boosts your confidence. Yeah, thank you, Kim. All right. So
Can I add one thing to that, Marcia?
yeah.
So one thing that has worked for me as well, doing presentations, is actually getting up in front of the room before everybody gets there. If you have an opportunity to, even when you get there, to even just walk up towards the front and to stand there for a second and look out before your presentation, sometimes that kind of visualization is helpful as well. It's a tip that somebody gave me years ago, and I found it really useful.
Absolutely. And if I can add to that, also standing in the back of the room, walk around the room. If it's a really big room, bring everybody together to make a small group and then walk around them. Also, if you go to the front, talk so you can see what the acoustics are. Is it a room that's really hard to talk in? Is there air conditioning that makes it loud, so you're going to have to talk louder? You know, those types of things. Are there posts in the room that people are going to be, you know, kind of trying to see if they could see to the front? It's good to get a sense of that room. And also, like, if you're not on a stage or not on a podium, if you're just on the flat floor, maybe you can find something to stand on to elevate yourself above everybody, so everyone in the back that can see you. So it's a great idea to check out the room. Okay, the fourth tip on lessening your anxiety is focusing on the message. So focus on the message rather than yourself. Why do you think that that would be useful? Anybody? Okay, so
Susanna has something to add.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see everybody, so thank you.
Yep.
Well, I was just going to say that if you focus on yourself, you're going to be more nervous because you're going to be listening more or less to what you're saying, and you start going off on things. If you focus on the message, it makes it easier. One of the things that I've done is when I've had messages like that, or I shouldn't say a message, but when I look at my paperwork, I highlight certain words, and it brings me back to it again.
Right. Exactly, Susanna. That is such a good point. When you concentrate on your message, you can totally get into the message and you can be excited about it. And the more excited about it that you are, the more you're going to get your audience excited and into your topic. So thank you so much for sharing that. The fifth tip is about engaging your audience. Okay, so engaging your audience. So what are some ways that you can engage your audience in the beginning? Like right in the very beginning, it's like, I gotcha, this is gonna be great.
Nancy and then Carol.
Tell a joke.
Great, yeah. So, and that would be a joke that's sort of applicable to the subject?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. That way you get everybody laughing. And was it Carol?
Carol.
Okay, Carol.
Ask a question.
Excellent. And like what do you have in mind, Carol, about asking a question?
Ask a question about the topic, like how many of you want to be responsible for your own property? Or how many of you feel good about your lot when you plant new flowers?
Right, exactly. So that gets them to think. And then they would either nod their heads and smile or acknowledge in some way. Yeah, that's a great idea, Carol. And what you can also do is ask for a show of hands. Like if you're at an annual meeting talking, you could say, who has a vision of what it would be like who has a vision of how you would like to see the community? And when you raise your hand, that tells everybody else they can raise their hand. So, that would be like an extra thing about asking the question there. Now, PowerPoint, I don't know if that really gets people engaged, but if you look at the slides that Kelly and I have been using, it's just a picture and a few words. Because if you put more on there, then people are going to be trying to read it and look at it, and they're going to be spending more time on your background than they are listening to you. So you really need something simple, like this picture of engage your audience really goes with the topic. So even if you're looking at that when I'm talking, you're still thinking about engagement because that's what the picture is about. So those are 5 tips to get you started. We have a handout and it has 10 tips on it, and it's divided into before your presentation and then during your presentation. And I think, Kelly, would we will we be sending those to people or? Okay.
I think everybody got the handouts. So I think that, yeah, tips for rocking your meeting. I see people holding it up. So
Okay.
People either downloaded it or got it mailed. Everybody should have it.
Okay.
That's great.
All
Yeah.
right, that's great.
And Lori has her hand up.
Okay.
I could not pull the handouts up at all.
Oh, that's too bad.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, maybe we can get
It
with
just kept saying, oops, that
Oh,
page is not available.
Laurie, in the very last email, it said log into myrocusa.org and then use that thread to look for the documents.
Okay, I didn't see that, so,
It was the very last email that said it.
okay,
tip.
so
And,
I'm handoutless.
And Susanna has something to add.
Okay, I did the same thing. I couldn't find it. And I went in again today and I found it today.
Oh, good.
So it came through. So that could be why she didn't get it yet.
Okay.
Lori, I will send you, I'm going to put the link to the documents for this class. I'm going to put it in the chat.
All
Okay.
right, great. That's awesome. And then we can save that for everyone too.
Thank you, Kate.
So thank you all. So the 5 tips that we just went over, they're in addition to those 10 tips. So if you ever have any questions on those, reach out to us. And we'll be interested next week to find out which of those tips worked well for you, what you liked, if you liked some better than others, what ones were effective. So
Great.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Marcia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we are going to move right into talking about presentation flow. And this primarily came up for us because last month when you guys met, Mary O had asked you a question about what's the most important things that you hope to learn at the class. And you guys had some great responses. Just a few of those was having the right words and being organized, how to prepare a presentation topic, how to stay within my notes and stay with the flow. So those were all just, that was such great feedback, and it really helped us develop something that we're hoping will be useful for you guys. So I'm gonna share my screen for a moment here. I hope. Can you guys see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. So you received this as part of the handout. Mine's not quite as pretty with the stuff that's been put on the top. But basically, what this is intended as is it's really a framework. It's a framework to be able to organize some of your ideas and your thoughts for the presentation. And it really starts with a couple of you already mentioned it, that opening, that attention grabber, doing something that's going to kind of get somebody's attention right out of the gate. And then moving from the opening over into really highlighting 3. And it doesn't have to be 3, it could be 5 things, it could be 2 things. But 3 is a great number to highlight points or ideas that you're going to cover in the presentation. It really tells your audience the direction you're going to be taking them in. And then we get over here to these details, and this is really the meat and potatoes of your presentation. It really gets to dive into each of the points that you're going to make, and you're able to share more information about each of those main points. And then, of course, you're going to kind of have a follow-up. This only needs to be a few sentences, but it's really almost a recap of those details you just went over. And it's really going back up here and highlighting those 3 main points one more time. And then, of course, we move on to a closing, which just allows you to wrap it all up. This is a great way to keep your message positive, and really people are going to be thinking about your presentation with those kind of closing words. And then I think the most important piece here is a call to action. This is where you have an opportunity to ask. So what are folks willing to do, or what information do you need? What actions are next? So this is, we call it BYOP, building your own presentation. That's a P on the end, so don't get excited about the B. Well, I guess you could BYOB for your BYOP, but this is really intended as a framework to be able to take some of those great ideas and experiences that you have as ROC leaders, and to be able to put them into a kind of a sequential order so that you can present those good ideas to others. So let me pop out of here and stop this for a moment so I can see you all again. What we're going to do next is we're going to get into breakout rooms. In your breakout room, in your small group, you're going to work with just a couple of others, and you're going to use your blank. So hopefully you, and I know Lori, you don't have one, but a lot of you have that blank in front of you, that blank BYOP with the lines. And really, you're just going to come up with some ideas. You're not putting a lot of thought into this, other than working your way through the BYOP and talking about what could possibly be in some of those squares. And as some sample, well, let me back up. You can come up with your own topic to discuss in your breakout room, but if you are looking for some ideas, you could, sorry, technical difficulty, meant to share something with you, but it doesn't appear to be there. You might want to talk about, what does it mean to be the ROC Association? What is the ROC Association? A lot of people don't know. It could be ways the Outreach and Education Committee can work with your ROC. It could be member engagement being the key to good ROC involvement and success. So you can use one of those topics, or you can discuss a topic on your own. We only have about 5 minutes for this exercise, so we're going to get into breakout rooms and work our way through that BYOP and see how that goes, and we'll bring everybody back together. Questions before we do that? No. Kate, are you?
I can just hit open all rooms and we're ready to go.
I just have a quick question.
Hold on, one question.
Yeah, just what do you want people to share when they get back?
Well, we're gonna we're going to be asking how that worked for them going through it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when folks come back. Thank you for that question. Anybody else before we get into breakouts? Okay, we'll see you back in 5. We appreciate, we know this is a little bit faster pace, but we really wanted you to just spend a few minutes looking at it, and we get that there wasn't a lot of time to dive in. But let me just ask, so any key takeaways from that, just kind of working your way through or looking at the flow? Any thoughts on that, on how you might use this as a tool?
Well,
Carol.
no.
I think that it would make me feel more organized.
Great. That's the intention. Awesome. Nancy.
It helped us to drill down. We started out with, you know, so how's the communication in your ROC? And then we drilled it down to like peer-to-peer within your ROC, and then peer-to-peer in all the ROCs. So
Great.
It helped us drill down the subject.
That's great input. And I think it's, you know, when you get to that detail section, that's where you can really dive in a little bit and do some more of that detailed stuff. Suzanne, I see you nodding your head. What are your thoughts?
No, we went with, like she said, we did these peer-to-peer in our community, and then with ROCs, we didn't have a chance to go into the detail of doing it, but at least it was a start for us. So
great.
I think it'd make a big difference.
Great. Well, thank you for that. I wish we had more time to spend really digging more into that, but there's going to be an opportunity for you to do some of that. And I'm going to turn our wrap up over to Marcia.
Okay. I can't believe this hour has gone so fast. So, so these were the goals that Kelli had talked about in the beginning. So I just wanted to circle around and see if you feel a little bit stronger about any of these goals. Do you feel like you're better at understanding strategies for becoming a better presenter?
I see some heads nodding.
Okay, yeah, I can see people now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What about, do you feel like you learned some tips for calming your nerves?
Definitely.
Yeah, I see some. Okay, feel free to comment.
Yeah,
I feel like you.
I just have, oh,
yeah.
Am I off muted? I just had one thing to say. Though I've been here and everything, with everything going on, I'm kind of sidetracked and off into another world. So I plan on reading the layout here a little bit more, so I'm more in tune for our next session. But yes, I did get tips, and it is all helpful. Just because of what's going on, I've got, my mind is elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you staying on, Marjorie. And you know, if anybody has any questions in the next couple of weeks, feel free to reach out to Kelli and I. We'd be more than happy to answer questions or help you process any part of the BYO, not B, P. Strengthen skills to build a presentation with a good flow. Do you feel like you have a better sense of what might help you be successful? Okay. So I see like, and I see some nods. Okay. And be able to apply the 6 presentation basics that I went over earlier. You. Okay, so is that, people feel like we have a couple more ideas on presentation basics? Okay, all right. So, well, that's good. So it sounds like then people feel like they picked up a few things today, and that's great. So as far as our homework, so we're going to be meeting in a couple of weeks on July 29th. So for the next class, what you're going to do is use your BYOP method to develop your own 3 to 4 minute presentation. And this can be on a topic that you would like to present to a ROC. So it could be something that you're going to present to your own board, or maybe you're planning on giving a presentation to your annual meeting or another ROC's annual meeting. So you get to pick the presentation topic. So on the 29th, what we're going to do is everyone will get time to give their presentation, and then everyone will give feedback. We'll do like a round robin feedback. And we would like everybody to be able to present and give feedback. Now with 9 people in an hour, that doesn't leave very much time. So we were wondering how you all felt about extending the class 30 minutes and having 90 minutes so everyone can have about 10 minutes to give their presentation and give feedback. Nancy?
If you could start it at 7:30 rather than having it go to 9:30, that would be much better for me. 5 o'clock comes awful early in the morning.
No, this is in the evening.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. If the meeting would start at 7:30 instead of going until 9:30.
So 7:30 to 9, 7:30 to 9.
Isn't that an hour and a half?
Yeah,
Yeah.
7:30 to 9. So you're
My
saying,
finger's going.
okay.
So
So
a
you're
show
saying,
of hands.
so you're saying start at 7:30, 5:30, so start a half hour earlier,
Yes.
okay? What do other people think about that?
I'm fine with it.
I would be okay with that.
I guess we have 2 things. So the first thing is, how do you feel about having the meeting being an hour and a half?
Fine.
Fine with me.
Okay,
Thumbs up.
I see a thumbs up, yeah. Okay, and then the second part 2 is starting a half hour earlier.
Okay.
So I see-
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, guys.
All right, awesome. So that way we won't be so rushed. So
Yeah.
then we will be meeting on the 29th at 7:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Mountain Time. I don't know if there's Central Time, if there's any Central Time people here.
Yep, Bobby is,
Okay,
Yes,
so that's
more than one.
6:30 your time.
Marjorie is.
Okay. Okay, so that is, are there any questions on the homework? Okay, so pick any topic, use the BYOP. Next time we'll give the presentations and we'll get feedback to each other. And then you'll feel so confident, you'll be so excited to go out and give a presentation to any ROC in this country.
There you go.
If you
Does anybody have any other comments or questions about what we talked about tonight?
It was
Thank you
great
so
spending
much
the
for
evening with you
doing
guys. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
we really appreciate you being here and allowing us to be here. And if